Hi learners, my name is Mr. Carrington and I'm so glad you are here because I'm in desperate need of a text detective. Are you up for the challenge? Awesome, I've got my detective gear here. Let's get started. I've been reading this interesting historical fiction text titled Dear Mr. Rosenwald, The School That Hope Built, written by Carol Boston Weatherford. It's a collection of short poems that come together to tell us a story. The title of each poem is at the top of each page. As I read through the first few pages, I couldn't help but notice the unique illustrations. That's when my boss came in and flopped this folder down in front of me. I took a quick look through this folder at the different files and clues. Here's what I found. The first file had the name of the case in this equation. Meaning from the words plus specific details from the illustrations equal deeper comprehension. Help me out, text detectives. What does comprehension mean? That's right. Comprehension is a deeper understanding of a text. I remember what I had noticed earlier about the unique illustrations in our story and thought, yeah, that makes sense. We are able to develop a deeper understanding when we use information from the words plus any additional information from reading the illustrations. The second file had a note on the specific tasks needed to crack the case. This is where you come in. Let's read that over together. In order for you to crack this case, you must explain how specific aspects of a text's illustrations contribute to what is conveyed by the words in this story, specifically focusing on the plot, the sequence of events in the story. Today, you will just focus on one event from the plot, building the school. Signed, Lieutenant Literacy. Wow, that was a lot. So basically, we must complete 3 tasks. First, read the words from Raising the Roof and identify key details that specifically address the event of building the school in the story's plot. Don't worry, I've already done this. Second, read the illustration and add any additional key details that pertain to the plot to our notes. Third, we have to explain how the illustration contributed or added to what was conveyed by the words back in our first text. Okay, I think you're ready. Now let's take a quick look at our clues. Clue 1. This is our anchor chart. It provides us with our equation, which reminds us that we need information from both the words and the illustrations to gain a deeper understanding of the text. It also provides us with a few definitions we might need to reference and emphasizes that it's important to look at different aspects of the words and illustrations, such as the character, setting, plot, and or the mood to help us better understand what we are reading. What word did you notice was circled? That's right, plot. What I found super helpful were the questions listed at the bottom. These are the questions we can ask ourselves today as we work towards solving this case, but also at any time we read a story. The questions we'll focus on today are numbers 1 and 3, while focusing only on the plot. We'll come back to these questions in just a few minutes. Here is clue 2. The words. These are the words I will read to you and then share the key details I pulled from the information shared as directed by task 1. That leads us to clue 3. This is the illustration we will be reading together. And finally, clue 4, our graphic organizer. Lieutenant Literacy needs this to be completed. Look at the chi chart. Now, let's label the 2 columns like this. We will label the left side words and the right side illustration. Let's review what I have written down in my notes for task 1. This is where I asked myself question 1 from our anchor chart. What do the words convey about the plot of the story? Remember, today we're just looking at one event from the plot, and that is building the new school. As I read the words, I identified 2 key details that I felt provided us with insight about what steps were taken to build the school. Remember, there may be more, but for today's purpose, I only choose 2. The first key detail was actually the title of the short poem. Just like with any story, it is important that we pay close attention to all of the words that may appear on a page, not just the body of the text. I chose it because it tells us what the men are doing, raising their roof of the school. I quickly added it to my case notes. Do you remember what we do after we identify a key detail from the words? That's correct. We then read the illustration to see if there are any additional key details that may contribute to what we already know based on the words. I'll model doing this one for you, but pay close attention and listen to my thinking so that you can do the next one on your own. You look ready to go. Let's look at the illustration and answer question 3 from our anchor chart. What information did the illustrations add to what I already know about this event of the plot? As I read the illustration, I notice that there are men holding onto ropes on each side of the school. What's attached to those ropes? Yes, the roof. This illustration helps me to see what raising the roof looks like. Since I added an additional key detail, I quickly jot it down in my case notes. Which side of the T-chart will this information need to be added? Excellent, to the right side, under the Helling illustrations. Now, it's your turn. What will you do first? You are definitely paying attention because you're right, we must look at our next key detail under the words column. Read along with me as I read it aloud. The men hammer and saw until the sun sets. What do we do next? That's correct. We read the illustration, looking for additional key details that add to what we already learned from the words. What do I notice in the illustration that may provide me with more information as to what steps were taken to build the school when the narrator says, the men hammer and saw until the sun sets? So, what additional key details were you able to identify? Excellent. I noticed a few of those too. I see that the men have already put in a floor and have built the outline or frame for the school. They're already built the roof because now they are adding it to the top of the school. That is definitely a key detail. Great work, detectives. We just have one more task to complete. Do you remember what it is? Wow, what a memory you have. We have to explain how the illustrations contribute to what we conveyed by the words back in our first task. Think of a sentence we can write to describe how the illustrations add to our understanding of the event of building the school and the story's plot. Okay, I'll say the first sentence. Pay close attention so that you can say the other sentence by yourself. I know that when I saw the men using ropes to move the roof to the top of the school, that added to my understanding of just how they got the roof onto the school. That was not stated in the words as I read, so I'm going to place that in the explanation box. The illustration added to my understanding of this event in the plot because it showed how the men used ropes to raise the roof to the top of the school, an important part of building the school. Now it's your turn. Say a sentence that describes how the illustration added to your understanding of this event of the story's plot. Here's what I say. The illustration also helped me to understand that the men worked long hours to build the floor and the frame of the school before they added the roof. Do you agree? Excellent work, detectives. We have cracked the case of the missing information. High five. Whew, that sure was a tough case. Remember, whenever you read a story, you want to read the words, read the illustrations, and be able to explain how the pictures add to your understanding of the mood, character, plot, and setting of the story. For an additional challenge, choose a story of your choice and follow the same steps we walked through today. Only choose a different focus, either the characters, plot, or the mood. Be sure to come back and join me next time for another literacy investigation. See you next time, text detectives.